Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, guys? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday show. Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today. Today, our badass guest is Kegan Gill, aka Smurf. He served 9 years in the U.S. Navy as a FA-18 Super Hornet fighter pilot, exiting service as a lieutenant. He's a motivational speaker and currently finishing a book titled Phoenix Revival. To learn more about Smurf, go follow him on all social media. Fast note, Smurf may be his call sign, but it's not from him being 3'3". Brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bird. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, man. And by the way, he's not 3'3". So
Well, 3'6", you stretch it.
Yeah, dude, it's if you Google his name, if you Google Kegan Gill Smurf, I mean, you're gonna see podcasts that he's done, and his story is beyond iconic. It's beyond riveting. It's beyond hard to listen to. And I want you all and encourage you all to go listen to what you see online, because he is pouring his heart and soul into helping people heal. These things that he's doing, motivational speaking, his book he's writing, he's doing a lot of work with a shaman to help others heal themselves from their past traumas. And so he's dedicated to helping people. And I want to dig into, like, you're a pilot, you're supposed to speak in front of everybody else. This is something you get trained in the military, but now you've gone and done it on a broader scale. It's got motivation behind it. You've got a story. So why did you get into motivational speaking, and what is your premier topics?
Yeah, so when I was going early in my recovery journey after spending years of struggling in the conventional mental health system, I kind of came to this revelation where I realized I had been through all this hardship and all this terrible things that had happened to me, living in a mental hospital, like, and I won't do all the spoiler alerts if you want to go listen to my whole story, but I spent so long struggling in that whole world that when I came out the other side of it miraculously, I realized I had the ability to articulate what so many other veterans and people struggling with mental health are going through, which is it's just a disastrous system that eats people alive. And I came through it with some insight and firsthand experience, and I realized not only did I have that experience, I also had, some wild experiences in the military as kind of a catcher, having survived this high-speed ejection, which kind of brings people in. So I have this unique combination. I can bring people in with how wild my story is, but then I can also open their eyes to what's going on underneath this veneer of society, and what happens when you fall through the cracks with a mental health issue. And I realized I need to share that with the world, because too many people have no idea what's going on with it unless you're going through it yourself. And so it's kind of become my primary mission and drive in life. I feel I've been called to share that message. Yeah,
Is it?
it just feels right. It
Yeah.
feels good to do it, man. And I see people, I got some smaller opportunities initially, just doing a couple podcasts, and that just naturally grew into, speaking to hundreds of people in front of these live audiences, from corporations to nonprofit organizations, everything in between, you name it. And I see the change that it has on people and the way it opens people's eyes to what's really going on. And I feel it's my calling to share that, because if we don't admit there's a problem, if we don't confront that problem, then we'll never fix it.
You come in as a very unassuming guy, and then people ask you, and of course, every time I think that we've sat down, it's like you're telling your story to a small group of people, because there's always somebody new in the group. And so they're like, well, I want to hear. And then you start talking. And I remember the first time I heard it, it was just like, when your jaw drops, because you're like, wow, you did that. But then it doesn't stop, and it just continues to go and go and go, where you're like, are you kidding me? Like, how can one go through all of this? And And then you look at yourself presently telling this story and you're like, wow, you have come full circle. And then when I say full circle, you come into a better place than you probably were beforehand.
Yeah,
And
man. Yeah, it's been
it,
this grinder that's freaking been one hell of a character development exercise, that's for sure.
that's what you call it. That's good. So this, while doing motivational speaking, you were writing this book, Phoenix Revival. Tell us a little bit about why you named it that and what do you have inside?
Yeah, it's this story of, you know, in the military having experienced some pretty severe trauma, destroying my body, brain injury, coming back from that only to be smashed back down again even further with mental health struggles. So it's just a story of rising from the ashes, from rising from what anybody would look at from the outside and go, this is an impossible situation. You're going to be a broken human being the rest of your life. You're going to have to be on these drugs the rest of your life. And taking from that to becoming a thriving human again with a capable body and a strong mind. And I want to share that story because I'm not anything special. I was this runty troublemaker kid growing up. I spent, you know, more time in the freaking principal's office than I did in class half the time if I showed up at all. Like I've been an underdog my whole life, which I guess has been good training for this because I found myself under just a terrible situation and I was able to navigate my way out. And so I want to share my story of that, of rising from the ashes, because I think there's a lot of people that could use that little spark of hope in their own journey, whatever struggles you're going through, whether you're in the military or not. We all go through this hell in life. And unfortunately, the conventional places that are supposed to be the experts on helping us are often making us way worse.
That's right.
So it's really to share that, you know, rise from the ashes story of the Phoenix.
This is exciting stuff, man, because I mean, I'll be honest, like there's some books that come out from military guys and you're just like, oh, really? Like, I already know your story, or I don't want to read that. But this one, I'm like, I cannot wait to read it because it's going to be the full in-depth look. So I know we keep doing this, like we're not going to spoil alert. Kegan is a fighter pilot at the highest level, an FA-18. I mean, you talk about Super Hornets, the Blue Angels use the Super Hornets, right? I'm
That's correct.
correct.
They recently transitioned over to the Super Hornet from the Hornet.
So it's the most rad jet that the United States Navy has currently. And it's every Navy SEAL's dream to be a fighter pilot. We just don't ever tell anybody that.
You
So
know,
we're
it's funny
like,
because it's every fighter pilot's dream to be a Navy SEAL. So the grass is always greener.
so the problem is if I give you the keys to my Hummer and give me your gun, give you my gun, you're good. You can go do our job. Go ahead and give me the
Definitely
plane.
not.
Let's see what happens.
No, man, I think we talked about this before, but it's like in the Navy is a strike fighter pilot in the Navy, you get trained, they put millions of dollars in your training to fly this, 90+ million dollar machine. But when you leave, you don't get to take that $90 million machine with you. Whereas if you're a SEAL, well, you are that $90 million machine, man, and you get to take that with you the rest of your life, which I think is more badass.
I tell my wife that every day and she doesn't believe me. So I just basically
Oh yeah.
go back to my office. Dude, I'm so excited to read this book. And I've never heard you professionally speak standing up on stage, but I have heard you speak. And even just those little bits of just ad-libbed have been unbelievable. So if you are a company that is in need of either a performance speaker, a public speaker, motivational speaker, or what I always consider a storyteller, you can reach out to Kegan on his social medias, which we're going to put on this after the show. We'll also have his email too. If you're serious about hiring him as a speaker, email him and you can join, you and him can talk directly to get that squared away. And then everybody go follow Kegan on social media and stay up to date because this Phoenix Revival book is super exciting. It's coming out and we all are going to want a copy. So definitely support him on that front. For anything else, let's tap into a little bit about you're working with shamans, you're trying to help people heal. Talk about that journey.
Yeah, so kind of as I alluded to earlier, I went through one hell of a mental health crisis, and the conventional treatments of psychotropic medications and conventional therapies did not work. it just exacerbated the underlying disruption in my physiology and my brain to the point where I was a non-functioning human living in a mental hospital at the Battle Creek VA inpatient psych facility, completely out of my mind, you know. And eventually, with the support of my family, I was fortunate to get out of that facility that only worsened my situation, putting more meds into my body, complicating my recovery. But what I found that was healing was the use of these indigenous medicines that have been incredibly impactful in improving the quality of my life, improving the physiology of my body, my brain, healing my brain. And I saw the power of those medicines healing me. And so now I've been fortunate to get the chance. This past winter, I was down in Costa Rica working at a retreat center called Awaken Your Soul with the medicine Iboga, which is effectively the most powerful psychedelic on the planet. You know, guys go into that medicine and you're under it for 16 plus hours of what can oftentimes be an incredibly brutal experience, but it typically ends with just some beautiful, amazing things coming about in your life. And not only is it operating on you on a physiological level, they've done a lot of research with ibogaine, which is an isolate of iboga. Iboga is about 60% ibogaine, along with the 40% of other active alkaloids. But they take ibogaine, and that's just one of the things that iboga is. And with actual, very legitimate research that they've largely been doing on the special forces community, um, they're seeing that it's healing the underlying physiology of the brain in a way that is truly remarkable. It truly is a breakthrough medicine, despite what the FDA might have to say when you're controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. I don't know if anybody saw that recent verdict on the use of MDMA for healing PTSD, and the FDA basically being a puppet of the pharmaceutical industry, gave it the no-go, which was no surprise. Despite all the research, all the testimony, all the goodness that's coming out about these things, it's a massive threat to their existing products. So they're going to continue to use all their force of being one of the most financially well off to do and connected industries in the world to crush anything that has to do with psychedelics, in my opinion. And anyways, you've seen it, the firsthand experience. We've seen it in others. If you're getting the help of these indigenous medicines or psychedelic assisted therapy, you're having breakthroughs that you can't have other ways. And one of the things ibogaine does, or iboga does, is it puts your brain back in the state that effectively like you're a toddler. It boosts up these, I think it's called the glial cell reactive protein. And what that does is it makes your brain like you're a toddler again. And what that allows you to do is rebuild new habits. And now you can just go take a bunch of psychedelics and come out the other side and go right back into your old habits, and you're going to find yourself in the same places. But if you use that reset and then you use that opportunity to redevelop new habit patterns that are healthy, be it, discontinuing the use of alcohol and drugs, which ibogaine and iboga are really effective at doing, making you not crave those substances anymore. If you can implement new habits, if you can implement, getting back in the gym every few days or every day, if you can implement healthier lifestyle choices, putting better people in your lives, if you can use that reset along with the integration that comes afterwards, I mean, you can completely turn your life around. Even if you're, homeless on the street, struggling with addiction issues with fentanyl or whatever, I've seen guys come off of crystal meth. I've seen guys completely turn around from the most gnarly, brutal traumas you can imagine. And getting to be at these retreat centers and help along with that process has been the most rewarding work I've ever done. Next to being a father, and the motivational speaking are really impactful as well. But to be there firsthand and see somebody come in the door that is just a broken, addicted human that's just been worn down by the grind of modern life, and you see them go out the other side, they look 10 years younger. They've got the spark back in their eyes. Not only is it operating on this sort of physiological level of the brain that I talked to, but it's also it's operating on something deeper, man. It's reconnecting people to divinity. It's helping to break down the barriers that we build up in life to protect us from all the hell we go through that just close us off, that close off our heart. And it breaks down those barriers in a way that you can be alive again. Those barriers protect us, but they also just slowly suffocate us from the inside. As we stuff down our trauma, we build up another wall to defend us from whatever hell we had to fight in war or in life, whatever you've gone through, whatever trauma. It breaks that all down and it opens your heart back up. And when that opens and you reconnect to something greater than yourself that surrounds us, this force of divinity or love or whatever synonymous term you have for that, man, it heals you from the inside out in a way that I don't think anything that's going to come in a pill in a clinical setting is going to be able to do.
There's no question. And for people who are listening who, just don't understand, may not have been read into psychedelic treatment, specifically for either substance abuse or trauma, I would encourage you to go look into it further, because the specific medicines that Kegan's talking about, ibogaine, iboga, these are not party favors. These are not something that are used recreationally. And I can talk from personal experience too with ibogaine. It is truly there to go do work, because if you did this at a party, you're going to come out the back end of that party very, very, very angry. Okay, so these things are different. These medicines were put on the earth by God, and I would encourage you all to go investigate them, to learn more about them, so you're not, if you're judging them, so you can understand them. And then you can also share this with people who are struggling, because there are a lot of people who want to get off their antipsychotics. They want to get off medicines that's prescribed by the VA. They want to live a better life. And this is not your overall fix, but it's a pause button, like Kegan said, reversing you back to being a child so that you can take that from there on in and start moving forward in life. They're incredibly effective. So I appreciate you being a spokesperson and stepping up and talking about it, because there's still a stigma around it. And, we got to break down those barriers and those walls to get people the healing they need.
Absolutely, brother.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is always awesome. I could talk to you for 10 hours, but I want to make sure that people go directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Kegan's full podcast, not this one, but the podcast where he shares his whole story, in my bio so that you can listen to it. It's definitely worth it, and you'll get a really good taste. I'm not going to steal anybody else's thunder who's told or let Kegan tell his story. So you'll hear his story. It'll be in my bio, and then all his information on how to get a hold of him and to follow him on social will be on this afterwards. So, and it'll be attached to it. So Kegan, thanks, brother, for being on. Thank you for sharing just the little glimpse we gave people into your life, and keep being a beacon for so many people, man, because I watch you, I see you, and I cannot wait to see how you're going. You're going like this, and you're going to help so many people. And I think a lot of us dream that we could be in that kind of a position to be that person. So I'm excited for you, man.
Thanks, Bird. Well, you're doing it, man. You're impacting people's lives in a miraculous way with everything you're doing, and I'm stoked to be in this fight with you.
We are 7X brothers. So you definitely have to go check out @7x.project on Instagram and follow us, because yes, Kegan and I took a little trip around the world to all 7 continents, and let's just say it was rad. And we're going to release that documentary and a performance manual in 2025. So go check out Kegan Gill, aka Smurf. I'll end on this real quick. Smurf, the nickname was not about your height. Tell us the nickname.
Well, to really do this story justice, you need to go listen to one of those podcasts. James Gearing from Behind the Shield, he captured a really good episode with me on that 7X trip, and I tell the beans on my call sign on there. But yeah, I'll let you go check that out in order to hear it. I can't really do it justice in just a few minutes.
Fair. All right. Well, then we'll put Behind the Shield, James Gearing's podcast up. He's an awesome dude. We'll pop that one up on my bio, and you can listen to it. So stay tuned for the nickname Smurf.
Thanks, Bird.
Love you, brother. As
Love you,
always, go check out transcendcompany.com/Birdman to start your health and wellness journey today. Transcend, it is a great company. They look at your blood and they fine tune the protocol specific to you so that you can increase your health and wellness. So go check them out. Follow Kegan. That's it, bro. Love you, man.
Love you.
See ya.
Frogman.